To our brothers and sisters in the American Southeast dealing with the effects of Hurricanes Helene and Hurricane Milton, and to those in the Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming, we are here for you. We are praying for you. Help is on the way. We are also praying for our friends in Mexico who are dealing with the effects of Hurricane John in the Acapulco area. The Scene Projects are brought to you by these fine sponsors. List with Linda B. Cufflinks.com. J.H. & Sons Menswear. Kathmandu Campground and RV Park in Sturgis, South Dakota. The Den. Sioux Falls' newest live music venue at 909 Northwest Avenue in Sioux Falls. Sunny Radio and SiouxFallsPodcast.com.
Well, good evening and welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and we are here tonight in beautiful Sioux Falls at a place called The Den here at 909 Northwest Avenue. 909 West Avenue is someone's house. Don't go there. I found that out the hard way today. Thank you to whoever your friend was commenting on that. With me today is my good friend and our featured artist today, Brad Morgan, joining the show.
How's it going?
It's going well, man.
Thanks
Glad
for
to have
having
you
me.
on this version of the show. You've been a featured guest on our interview portions, and we even saw you out at the MCMO Awards show last April. Your wife, Nikki, was obviously a big part of that last year. But, Brad, for our listeners who don't know you, why don't you give us a little brief intro? Who is Brad Morgan?
Well, I grew up on a farm in Manning, Iowa, down in the west central part of the state of Iowa. Grew up a farm kid in a small town. We got some fellow Manning folk here tonight. So I grew up on a farm and, had a lot of family members. My uncle played guitar. My brother played guitar and sang. And my siblings listened to all different types of music. And I just kind of grew up that way, just listening to all different genres and being around music a little bit. And so I started playing guitar in high school, junior high school age, and never stopped.
No, you sure haven't. And now you spend half of your year in Nashville, that's correct?
Yeah, I mean, I spend most of the summers on the road in the Midwest, or pretty much anywhere I can book for the most part, but mostly the Midwest. I live in Nashville from about this time of year until late May.
Excellent. And can you talk about some of we're out here in Sioux Falls. Not a lot of us have access to Nashville, but can you talk about some of the benefits that having access to, the big city and for the country music artists, Mecca, really, that is the spot. Talk about some of the benefits to living down there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the convenience of being around like-minded people in the industry. You go through McDonald's drive-through, and there's somebody that sings better than you. You'll be at a
Working
bar.
at the McDonald's.
Yeah. Be at a bar having a beer, and, next to you is some big-time songwriter, and, you just have, it's easier access. It's more people, that think and act like you as a musician and an artist and a songwriter. That's initially why I made the move, and, that's kind of what we're trying to bring here to the Midwest, too.
Well, and definitely, and you talk about communities and access and all of these things, and that's exactly what we're trying to build. You are a longtime member of the Midwest Country Music Organization. I'm a new member. Your wife, Nikki's our new director of membership. A big round of applause for her. Thank you for accepting the role. It's not a paid position, and the title probably means nothing in the long run, but we're sure happy to have you. It's exactly what you're talking about, is to bring some of that access to these Midwestern kids. We're kind of growing up and moving into more of the mentor role is how I kind of see it, right? I'm 38, so I'm able to give a little bit of advice to these kids that are 20, 21 and really just starting their music careers. So it's cool to be a part of an organization that's taking all the things that, Brad and I'm sure many of our other artists have learned visiting or living in Nashville, and then being able to bring them to us out here in the Midwest so that we can grow our careers in the same way without having to move to Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure. And, that's the reason I moved to Tennessee. And, I never really wanted to leave Iowa. I liked Iowa. I still love Iowa. I still love the Midwest, and it's just one of those things, it's like everybody told me, hey, you'd open for somebody, and they'd be like, hey, man, yeah, you got to move to Nashville. That's the thing. You're not going to, there's no resources here to do what you want to do. And today, with technology and, just the resources we have, it is possible to have a solo career or any career in music from anywhere in the world.
Right. And the biggest resource, money, is good up here. That's why you come back every summer, I'm sure, has something to do with it, right?
Well, there's definitely a demand. People, appreciate music. They appreciate live events up here. And, in Nashville, a lot of the time, people are so used to it, and it's still a great environment. You get a lot of tourists that will come out for live music, but, around here, people come out literally just because they love live music.
Right. Well, and then it's literally so saturated that the artists themselves aren't making a lot of money that are out there playing. I mean, most bands that are playing on Broadway are playing for tips, or are some of them getting a guarantee to play that night? And
well, there's usually a base pay. So I've played Broadway anywhere from $40 to a couple hundred,
right,
plus tips. But by the time you pay for $50 parking and
right,
your drinks and stuff like that, But you can make a decent living playing Broadway. It's just, I like to tour. I like to play out on the road, and
right,
stuff like that.
Well, and I imagine that everybody that's down there kind of has that. They're all trying to get on the road, right? That's kind of the dream while you're there performing, right? For everyone that's not in Nashville, you want to get to Nashville to play the Bluebird and do all the things. And everybody that's in Nashville playing all those things is trying to get the hell out of Nashville and to play in the country. It's such a weird thing, but we're very blessed here in the Midwest to have such a thriving music scene where the population is so small. All of these little towns love it, the little bars. I know you play a lot of small towns in Iowa and things, but then you're also able to give back to the communities. So you did some really special shows this summer. We obviously had a very wet spring and early part of the summer here, a lot of wet weather, tornadoes, and all kinds of extreme weather. And some towns, mostly the town of Spencer, was hit pretty hard by that in Iowa this year. Can you talk about the relief show that you did with them there?
Yeah, so I did a couple of relief shows. A fellow Midwest CMO member, Casey Musigman, his parents, tragically, their house was totally just ruined. And so he had asked me to join him for a fundraiser for Spencer in Ames, Iowa. So we did that. And then it kind of inspired me to do my own, host my own. And we had a show with Midwest Lake Service in Emmitsburg, Iowa, that actually got canceled due to the flooding. And I reached out to them. I said, hey, why don't we reschedule this and make it a benefit for Spencer and the people of Spencer? And so we did, and it was successful, and it was a touching experience. So.
Oh, I'm sure. So I actually found out about that show because we were out there golfing. And I was like, hey, I know this Brad guy. And saw that it was a relief for the town of Spencer. And yeah, just so proud of the good that you continue to do out there. And you really inspire me to want to do more like that. I've always been available, but never one that really put it out there all the, like, oh, I'm available. So I think this year, a good part of what we do is reaching out to more of our nonprofit organizations and really just being there when tragedy strikes. That's the thing about having an audience, is that's what we're trying to do with it, right? I look at a guy like Jelly Roll, who, is obviously from the Nashville area and has roots in Tennessee, but to see what he's done with his elevation of his persona, right? This man is everywhere now, but he's turning around and doing so much good with it, and it really inspired me to be, well, yeah, I want to be famous so I can do that, or whatever that means. I want to have a bigger voice out there in the world so that I can call attention to the things that matter to me, and to use that voice for good, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. Well, we're not here just to talk, Brad. You want to play us some music too?
Yeah. What do you want to hear?
Wow, man, I want to hear some of your songs. We're here to showcase original music, and I know you got plenty of it. You have albums that you've done?
Well, yeah. I released recently. I've been doing more singles, the single thing, the EP thing. But I'll start with my most recent song. Talking about Spencer, talking about giving back and setting goals and doing things you want to do. This is a song Nikki, my wife, actually pitched this idea to me years ago, and at the time I just wasn't really in the mood to write it, I guess. And I came off the road last summer, and I was kind of going through a slump, and the song kind of came to me. And I think a lot of the times, some of the best songs just kind of write themselves, and that's kind of what this one did here. So this one's called Day One. You see yourself on the top of the mountain, or see yourself as the best in the land, or wanna take that dream vacation. Maybe you're going through a 12-step plan. We all wanna get to that moment where we finally reach that goal. Well, you can do what you put your mind to, just know that it's a long, hard road. Time ticks by like a flashing light, so take the first step to living your life. Set a goal, make a plan, put in the work as hard as you can. But when it comes to getting where you're going, you gotta get started before you get done. When you look forward to one day, just remember it starts with day one. You tell yourself you can do it later, but that there's just no way. You can put it off with excuses, but why not start today? Time ticks by like a flashing light, so take the first step to living your life. Set a goal, make a plan, put in the work as hard as you can. When it comes to getting where you're going, you gotta get started before you get done. When you look forward to one day, just remember it starts with day one. Taking one step at a time, like each day gets you around the sun. Make the short term count for the long run. Time ticks by like a flash of light, so take the first step to living your life. Set a goal, make a plan, put in the work as hard as you can. When it comes to getting where you're going, you gotta get started before you get done. When you look forward to one day, just remember it starts with day one. Day one. Start with day one.
Woo!
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of that one. It's got such a light, bouncy feel to it. I'm glad you finally listened to your wife and wrote that song.
Yeah. The other night I was playing a show and I said, you know, my wife has some really good ideas. And then I said, and she has other ideas, and I'm married, so they're good too, you know. And
I think you're right. Well, thanks, Nikki. I think you got a good one there. I think you got a good one. I think you got a good one too. Brad, it's been a pleasure getting to know you these last few months. We met you last year. You played in Yankton. You and the band came out, and it was great. It was just so refreshing to see someone, for me, because I've been playing out here in South Dakota my whole life, pretty much. I've played out of state a few times, but to see someone living in Nashville and doing it, and then you're coming out and playing, I mean, pretty much all the same songs that I do. There's not a lot, I mean, they're different songs, but it's the same vibe. And like, oh, what we're doing is exactly what everyone else is out there doing, you know? And it really gave me a lot of confidence to start going a little bit harder on what we're doing and realizing that you're not as far away as you might think from being a professional musician, you know, as a full-timer. And here we are, you know, less than a year removed from that point, right? And I've been full-time since March. And granted, I do a lot of other things. I'm not just playing music, but it's kind of what you got to do in this business, right? I mean, are you When you're in Nashville, are you co-writing with other people and helping them to write songs of theirs as well, or?
Well, that's mostly what I try to do in Nashville is write or perform writers' rounds or record. I'm not. I didn't really move there to just play live all the time. I was already playing live all around Iowa and the Midwest, and I think when I'm down there, that's the main reason is I try to tour as hard as I can in the summer, and go back and have a little bit of breathing room to kind of get creative and do that side of things during the off touring season.
Right. So when you're in like a writer's, and I've never done this before, so you say you're in a writer's room, right, which are very popular. Now, are you going in there with the mentality of I'm going to write a song for me today, or I'm going to write a song for them, or just we're going to write a song? And
kind of depends. I mean, I've had writing sessions where somebody's like, hey, I have this idea and I want to write it, and it's their idea, it's their thing. I just wrote a song with a fellow Midwest CMO member, Aaron Simmons, and it's a great tune, but it's definitely like, hey man, this is your song. It's your idea. It's personal to you. But there's times where I have an idea and I'm like, I just need help getting over that hump with
right.
it. And then there's other times you just show up clueless and you might sit there for 3 hours and come up with nothing. So or you come up with something and you're like, man, neither of us can really use this. But it, like you got to just. I think you just got to keep doing it.
You're in the room with another creative person, and you never know what could come out of that situation. Even an interesting conversation could be not even music related at all, but something that happened in life or something.
Well, yeah, for sure. You never know. I mean, I've gone into writing sessions with hit songwriters in Nashville. I mean, people who've had #1 hits, and you come away with nothing, and then you go in a room with a first-time songwriter that's new to town, and you come up with something great.
Right.
So it's kind of across the board. You never know.
We might have to do a whole podcast interview on just digging into these writers' rooms because I'm so inexperienced. I've never experienced it, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll schedule a weekend where I can come down, or a week where I can come down and spend some time with you and just kind of see what it's like. I've never written with anyone else. I've always written my songs kind of in the bedroom by myself and letting that come out, but have never pursued it as a craft that needed honing, right? So. And I feel like that's what's very is very particular to Nashville for sure.
Well, I think that's another reason I save it mostly for that time of year, because I'm off the road. I'm not thinking about where the hotel is, what time sound check is, if we can get back in time for tear down, where the next place is that we're playing. You have time to decompress and you have time to think about, nothing really.
Yeah.
I mean, you got time to get creative and just kind of, relax your mind a little bit and let it be free and loose. And I think that's, for me personally, that's been the way to go. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have a song that maybe came out of one of those writers' rooms that you could bust out for us?
Well, let's see here. This wasn't from a writer's room, but I did write this song with my buddy Andy Gibson. He used to play guitar for me, and then he left me for a small artist, Tanya Tucker. I don't know if you ever heard of her or not, but
No, never have.
But anyway, he started playing for her, and but we wrote this song together, and we got together one of those days where it's just like, hey, let's write. We don't know where we're gonna write about or anything or what we'll come up with, but we sat around for about an hour and like, okay, we can't come up with anything. Let's look up idioms, like common idioms, So like going through the list, and grain of salt comes up, and I'm like, you got to be able to do something with margaritas, grain of salt. Come on. So we got the blender out. We made some margaritas, and we're sitting there writing this song and joking about how we'd pitch it to Kenny Chesney, and when Kenny cuts it, he'll probably change this, just joking around. And a year later, I played it at a writer's round, and somebody actually pitched this to Kenny, and we got real close to having a cut with it, and it fell through in the end. But I decided to cut this one, and so this is one of those that just kind of came out of thin air, and one of my personal favorites that I've ever written. This one's called Grain of Salt. Stress is overrated. That's what he said to me as we were sitting at a beach bar on my break from reality. I told him of my problems. I was facing in my life, how I just got fired. I'm so mentally tired, and how I'm fighting with my wife. And he said, just take strawberries or limes, you put them in a blender with some ice, and listen close to my advice. Blend the bitter and the sweet, and don't take things so seriously, 'cause you'll just worry to a fault. Just add tequila and take it with a grain of salt. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I tried to figure out he was even talking about anything that had to do with me. Was it about life and his decisions, or the best margarita in his opinion? It didn't matter, 'cause now I see. Just take strawberries or limes, put them in a blender with some ice, and listen close to his advice. Blend the bitter and the sweet, and don't take things so seriously, 'cause you'll just worry to a fault. Just add tequila and take it with a grain of salt. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Now I say, just take strawberries or limes, you put them in a blender with some ice, and listen close to my advice. Blend the bitter and the sweet, and don't take things so seriously, 'cause you'll just worry to a fault. Just add tequila and take it with a grain of salt. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take life with a grain of salt. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Take life with a grain of salt. Thank you.
Can see if Zach Brown might want to cut it still.
That was in the discussion also, actually. We never heard back from them, though.
Well, he's not on the charts as much these days. Might be where... No, and it's such a different world that, I mean, you're one phone call away from some of these people, right? You are, very few degrees of separation from the biggest of stars in Nashville. And that's one of the things that it definitely, I don't know if it's the right move for all of the young artists, right? But there's definitely people that, I mean, my buddy Clayton right now is living in Minneapolis and doing his thing, but he's one of those people that's so damn talented. Like, no, you probably need to live there, right? Like, yeah, you can live afar and go there once or twice a month and have some opportunities, but to really help yourself the most that you can, you got to be in those situations. And it's no different for me just having to, I couldn't go do the day job anymore. I couldn't go give somebody else 50, 60 hours of my time and pursue this dream and have it actually become something. It was just never going to happen, right?
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to be a star, you want the fame, you want all that, I mean, that's great, but if you're making a career doing it and you love doing it, might as well stay where you are. As long as there's opportunities, if you're making a living doing it, then, sometimes I've always loved the quote, making it as personal or success is personal. Everybody's success is different in their mind.
Right. Right, yeah, and some people would like to come home to the Midwest and tour close to home and live that life. And I know you guys are both small town people. Your wife Nikki as well. It's nice to get out of the city, I'm sure, and spend your summers in clean air and on the lake. And Iowa just so beautiful, and the culture the lake culture that's there. I wasn't aware of until a few summers ago. My wife and I honeymooned actually in Emmitsburg, and then we took a trip to Okoboji for the day and just kind of tooling around, and just the vibe is incredible, and there's so much music going on around there. And we went back there this year, and who's at the Barefoot but Brad Morgan and the boys jamming out, and that song sounded perfect there that night. And yeah, you guys put on a great show, man. I've really enjoyed it. You're doing all that good music. People are singing and dancing all night. So a thank you to you for bringing the boys out. And I know that one of the members in your band you're related to, right? Your brother plays in the band with you, at least in the summer?
Yeah, my older brother plays bass for me and does some backup vocals. We make him sing a song or two.
Yeah, you do.
Night. But, like I said earlier, I grew up watching him play in hair bands and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I'd always be like, hey, why don't you join us? I only played in the band. And, oh, no. And then I think once all the kids were out of the house, he was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and it's been great. He's been playing for me for 5 years now, I think, and it's been awesome. It's fun to be able to be on the road with a family member and share those experiences.
Yeah, man. I know he's just got to be so proud of little brother all the time up there doing it.
Proud or annoyed, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. You did make him get out there and take the lead. Did he sing a Jelly Roll song? He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was awesome, man. Jelly's one of my favorites.
He gets to pick his song, yeah.
Nah, at least you let him pick it, huh? Well, shout out to Big Brother joining the band and doing it right. We love a family band here. My dad played in Starts and Ends with me for years. And now that the grandkids are at home when I'm playing, he's like, I think I'll just stay home with the grandkids, actually. My body doesn't hurt as much the next morning. Shout out to the old guys, still getting it. That's going to be us in a few years. I better watch my tone.
I think that's me already. If it's 8 p.m. and I don't have a show, it's the recliner and TV for me.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Well, Brad, how many more songs do you think you can play for us tonight before bedtime?
How many you want?
At least a couple?
Yeah, I can do a few more here.
Yeah, well, we like it. It's such a pleasure for us to have you on the show and showcasing your original music. I know when you play with the band, obviously it's probably a lot of covers everywhere, and but it's nice to be able to come on and to just focus on you. We want to see your art and hear your art. And what's your favorite song? Can you play us one that's real near and dear to your heart?
A cover, original, or
do an original. We want to hear one that's special to you.
Let's see here.
I was going to say one about your wife, but I didn't want to put you on the spot in case you didn't have one.
Nope. We this particular song, we've been together for 10 years now, but when we were first dating, we were long distance, and Nikki had moved down to Nashville finally, and you get that first month or two living together, and you've it's the real deal then, in honeymoon stages.
You've seen some things.
Yeah. So anyway, we had our first, little disagreement, if you will, and he's like, I just got to get out of the house for a little bit, and I'm laying there in bed looking around the room, and being the overdramatic songwriter I am, I started writing this song, and I looked over at the doorknob, and I noticed it was locked. And I thought, man, if I don't get up and unlock that door and she comes home, I'm going to be even more trouble than when she left. So I got up, unlocked the door, and that's kind of where this song came from. Like I said, over emotional, but this is one of my favorite songs I've ever written because it did open a lot of doors for me in Nashville with other songwriters and people in the industry. So this one's called Unlocked. Sound on the TV's all the way down, but my phone's turned up all the way. Even though it hasn't rang, I keep checking every minute, even if it's been a couple of days. I haven't slept since the moment that we last talked. It was the day when we said we were through. All I can do is hope you're coming back. So honey, if you do, I'm laying in bed and I'm wide awake. Just come on in. Have your spot warmed up right next to me. I'll kiss you again and again. I got the porch porch light turned on, I'm listening close for the turn of that knob. If you come back, you don't have to knock. Baby, the door's unlocked. I miss your voice and your lips, the way your body felt on my fingertips. So I'm waiting right here, wishing I could see your lights pulling into my drive, so we can make things right. I'm laying in bed and I'm wide awake. Just come on in. Spot warmed up right next to me. I'll kiss you again and again. I got the porch light turned on, I'm listening close for the turn of that knob. If you come back, you don't have to knock. Baby, the door's unlocked. If you wanna come back, make a brand new start, the door's open wide, and so is my heart. I'm laying in bed and I'm wide awake. Just come on in. Have your spot warmed up right next to me. I'll kiss you again and again. Got the porch light turned on, I'm listening close for the turn of that knob. If you come back, you don't have to knock. Whoa, if you're coming back, you don't have to knock. Yeah, if you're coming back, you don't even have to knock. Baby, the door's unlocked. Doors unlocked. Thank you.
It's a great song, Brad.
Thank you very much.
Should be proud of that one. Those early ones are fun to come back to now, aren't they?
They are. I mean, I keep that one in my set most of the time, but when I can. But yeah, it's always fun to revisit something. There's a lot of songs I've started writing that aren't finished, and you come back to those, and sometimes you're like, wow, why didn't I finish this one? And this other times you're like, I see why I didn't finish that one.
It's a fun profession, right? Songwriting. I think that's one of the most fun things for me, and especially doing this show, is connecting with other people that music and life moves them and rings them, that the music comes out of them, right? Like I've always said that as a songwriter myself, I'm just a conduit for the song, right? That the emotion or whatever struck me, rung me like a bell, and now I'm just trying to capture that, right? And then that vibration is the song, you know? And then to get to have all of these conversations and to hear all these songs, you've also been featured on our other show, Love Noise, where we take the recorded versions and share them with the world as well. And what I like to do with that is I don't listen to the songs ahead of time. I'm kind of picking the artists. I kind of know the genres that they're in and just kind of putting them together and then listening to the song kind of live in the moment. And what it's done for me is maybe a much more active listener, right? Where I am in that song for that 2 minutes.
You're not distracted from, yeah.
Well, yeah, and even in this setting, you know, and especially now there's not many, but as it continues to grow and you have rooms full of people, right, where we're not active, we're getting distracted. The TVs are terrible. I hate playing in here with the TVs on because I'm always looking at the TV and not engaging with people, right? But yeah, it's just a different experience. It's why I like to... I'm a big broadcast fan, right? I like to listen to my sports broadcast for the same reason. I'm very invested, but also I can kind of be divested from it, and I'm listening to inflections, right? I'm listening to the excitement in their voice rising and knowing that that's the point, right? And there's just so much. There's just so much in waves, and as we get more down the rabbit hole, if you will, as human beings, and realizing that vibrations and sounds and all of these things have a much more profound effect on us than we've ever given them credit for before, at least in the common era, right? That it's important, man. Music heals, and your music heals, right? Your songs heal people. And I think when we all realize that a little bit more, I will start to write songs differently, right?
Well, I think so too. I think, I used to just write to write, and then I've had people come up with tears in their eyes, or, laughing, crying, whatever. And, it's like, man, that, I made them do that, and it's something that came from up here, I think that, there's a lot of discussion about AI and music and all that. And it's like, I'm sure at some point it'll be able to strike emotion too. But, I think a lot of the human aspect of music, it strikes certain people to be able to portray it to other people too.
Yeah, but it's just because it's relatable, right? We're writing a song to try and tell our heart's story to your heart, right? And that's kind of how I explain to it, is that when I share my music from my heart right to yours, right? This is how I'm trying to share it. And I think, the AI discussion, I don't know that it's ever possible for it to get there, right? For it to have that human element to it. It can make listenable music. I think we're already seeing that. If you think that you're not hearing AI music on pop radio right now, you are sadly mistaken. So it can make listenable music, but can it connect with people? And I don't think that it'll get there, because it's more than the words. It's the emotion behind the words that makes it real. So I think you're definitely onto something there. What else you got? We got time for probably like 2 or 3 more songs. So choose wisely,
all
Brian
right.
Morgan.
I'm going to do one here. This is a tune I released a few years back. This one's called You Don't Know. My shoes were on my feet. Didn't worry if I looked good. Didn't need to keep my truck clean. You might say I'm changing. I'd say I'd agree. But baby, you don't know that you got my world flipped upside down. Feel so high, I'm off the ground. Chasing like a fool. But baby, you don't know that you got me tripping all over my lines, twisted and tongue-tied. Put skip back into my step, my heart right out of its beat. Well, baby, you don't know what you're doing to me. Buying flowers, red wine over beer. Yeah, my friends all think I'm crazy, but let me be perfectly clear. I don't mind changing if it makes you want me, baby. You don't know that you got my world flipped upside down. Feeling so high, I'm off the ground. Chasing like a fool. Baby, you don't know that you got me tripping all over my lines, twisted and tongue-tied. Put skip back into my step, my heart right out of its beat. Oh, baby, you don't know what you're doing to me. Flipped upside down, feeling so high, I'm off the ground, cheesing like a fool. Yeah, you don't know that you got me tripping all over my lines, twisted and tongue-tied. Put skip back into my step, my heart right out of its beat. Baby, you don't even, you don't know what you're doing to me. What you doing to me? Oh, baby, you don't know. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of that one too. It's just feel good music, Brad Morgan. I love it. I love it. Feels like Iowa to me. Hey, nothing but good memories in the beautiful state of Iowa. I was just there last weekend playing in Council Bluffs, a place called Maloney's Live down there. I don't know if you've been there yet, but they'd love to have you.
I think we had a Midwest road show to the award show.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think Chris mentioned that.
I wasn't there, but I remember seeing the flyers for it. Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yeah, so good thing going down there. And then I drove 7 hours through the night to go sit in Chicago and go to a tailgate. So football season, baby, you got to love it. Man, I think that's my new thing to chase around for the next few. I don't have any shows booked on Sundays, so what the hell?
Yeah, it sounds like you need some tailgate gigs.
Yeah, I think there's a home for it, man. It's a little early for most of us rock stars on a Sunday morning, but they got a good thing going. It's Chicago Bears Tailgating Club that I hooked up with. Got a great thing going on. There's 400 or 500 people there. I played a few songs for them, and yeah, they loved it. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back next time, and we can do this 8 times a year. That'll be fun. Well, you bring up the Midwest Country Music Organization, and everything that we're doing is just great. We mentioned your wife, Nikki, our director of membership, and what we're trying to bring to the org, and we're always trying to bring more people in. So if you're listening on the podcast, go to MidwestCountryMusic.org and come join us. If you're a venue, if you're a music lover, not just an artist, it's really open to anybody. And we're growing a big community, and that community is making things like this happen. So make sure that you're supporting us and supporting yourselves and all the great artists that we have in the group. And yeah, Brad, you were awarded, I guess it's a weird term, right? We're all family, so it's weird to be like, oh, you won, but you were recognized as a Male Artist of the Year your second time in a row, 2 years in a row now. So you're obviously doing big things out there. Can you talk about what an honor it is to be kind of recognized by your peers, and a little bit about what the voting process is? It's not necessarily a popularity contest of.
Yeah, well, I think it's a bigger honor because of the way it's voted. I think it's it starts out, the public can submit nominations of whoever they want. I mean, after people sift through the Carrie Underwoods and Garth Brooks and all that, there's a lot of talent in the Midwest, and there's a whole committee that goes through it, and I mean, they kind of filter out the fake nominations and the stuff like that, and Mickey Mouses and all the fun ones like that. But I mean, there's just so much talent, and then once the nominations are selected by the committee, then it goes to a vote from the members. So I think that's what makes it a bigger honor, is that your peers voted for that. So it's a privilege and an honor, and something. There's so many. I think everybody in that category the last 2 years, could have just as easily, or should have just as easily been named that. They're just some incredible talent, incredible voices. So it's quite the honor.
Right. Yeah, definitely less of a win and more of a recognition of, hey, man, you had a great year. Fantastic. We love you, buddy, and bravo. And what I love about the organization, too, is we had a couple of winners this year that were multiple-time winners, and kind of said, hey, thanks, but we're not even going to put ourselves in the nomination for next year, because it's for everyone to kind of win and to be recognized and to have their time in the sun. And I hope that during the course of everyone's career in the Midwest country music, that you find something, that we find some way to nominate you and for, to have a win, and hope everybody gets to celebrate on that stage. It was wonderful getting to watch, especially a good friend, and I'm sure a mutual friend of ours, Lee Klett, accept the first ever ambassador award up there, and the tears, right? I mean, the emotion.
Well, I think the best part about this organization, is it's built around being humble. It's built around helping each other out, and being that shoulder, that step up from your peers. So seeing somebody like Lee, who wasn't nominated for anything, and he's still out there wearing other bands' T-shirts and showing up to their gigs before his own gigs and stuff like that. and seeing his reaction and the tears and the happiness and the recognition. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the whole award show last year, and just the organization in general is everybody's looking out for each other. It's one big family.
Yeah, you can't be disappointed, right? I mean, for some of the new members, and I kind of talked with Tyler Herwig, who's a new member of the org, and he was out there and he talked about being on stage and being nominated for a new artist. And a lot of those new artists are new, right? They're brand new to the organization. Some of them just a few weeks or months, really. So you really have no idea, what the community is. And he kind of spoke about, wanting it really bad to be recognized at that. And then how like not being recognized kind of changed what he ended up playing in the moment because he was performing that night. And it was interesting because what ended up happening was that he changed his song to this very vulnerable song that he had written about addiction and overcoming it. And, he said it was kind of like, well, I would have never played it because you're in this room where everybody's drinking and partying and having a good time, right? And to step up and play this really emotional song wasn't really what I was aiming to do, but in that moment, right, of not winning inspired him to play this song, which ended up being one of my favorite moments, right? Oh, just this rousing, applause to that because you stepped up there in front of all of us who have done the same thing, but kind of laid your soul out there, and it was such a beautiful moment. And like, how cool it is to win, but how also cool it is that moment was made from a little bit of the disappointment, let's say, of maybe not being recognized in that moment can make something too. And now he's a new member of the Country Music Association, and he performed at CMA Fest this year, right? So even when you don't necessarily win or get recognized in the moment, it can be a catalyst to your career in that way, maybe a little extra motivation. And
well, and I think that's the biggest thing with the org is the motto is create, inspire, give back. And I remember my first award show, I was nominated for a few things and didn't win. And I just remember, I think that night inspired me to create more, that the org gave back to me that night by being like, hey, there's, you're one of the top dogs in your area or your state. And you go here and you're humbled right away by all this talent and all these people that are doing it and doing it better than you, and then it's like, okay, well, I have some work to do, and and I respect these people. I want to, do what they're doing, and then you learn from them. And
I will say about that weekend, Brad, I think that's the weekend I ceased being a musician and started being a podcaster. Well, you go listen to bands, and we were talking about Corey Waller and the Wicked Things earlier, and these bands are freaking good, and they're out playing kind of the same style of gigs that I am. And I'm like, my band and what I do is not even close to the same level that they are. And it's a motivation where I'm like, you better step up your game, man. Like, if that's the competition, right? Which it's not, but if they can hire that band or my band, well, 9 times out of 10, they're going to hire that band. So I better step my crap up. So at least I can get to 50-50, right? I'm making a coin toss on them.
Well, it goes back to that saying, with higher water, all the boats rise.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly the rising tide, right? And what I've realized that the scene projects and all the things that we're trying to do with the podcast and beyond that, our live events and continue to grow, that's the tide, right? That is the tide. So let's just keep getting everybody to come in and visit us and keep growing this. And you never know. You come visit us in South Dakota, might turn into a gig the next night or more gigs down the road. That's what we hope this is. I kind of call the Songwriter Showcase the seed. Well, let's start planting this all over the Midwest and start getting more songwriters into the fold. And keep growing this thing. We have all of these different communities that are all growing independently and together at the same time. It's so fun.
Absolutely.
Well, you want to finish us out with one more song, and we'll call her a night?
Yeah, I'm going to do play one I wrote with my buddy Scott Levi Jones. This is a more lighthearted song, I guess, but we were down in Nashville and playing a writer's round, and one of us turned to the other and said, man, my beer disappeared. And this is one of those writing sessions. We went in knowing exactly what we were going to write because we both looked at each other with the light bulbs going off. And so this is a tune about running into an old friend, and the beer just flows a little smoother than normal. Well, hey, old friend, it's been a while. When I look back on the old days, I can't help but smile. I owe you one. Thanks for the round. Yeah, the memories keep on flowing with every set that goes down. Speaking of the next round, well, my beer disappeared. It only feels like a minute since we said cheers. I must have drank a little faster than I thought. When we started reminiscing, it went down like a shot. Yeah, when we haven't caught up in years, my beer disappeared. Remember the times we almost got caught doing all those crazy things. Yeah, I almost forgot those were good times. Where'd they go? Oh, yeah, I wish it never ended. Hey, let's make some more. Speaking of more, yeah, I need some more. 'Cause my beer disappeared. It only feels like a minute since we said cheers. I must have drank a little faster than I thought. 'Cause when we started reminiscing, it went down like a shot. Yeah, when we haven't caught up in years, my beer disappears. When it's been a while and you can't wait to see the ones who might make you say my beer disappeared. It only feels like a minute since we said cheers. I must have drank a little faster than I thought. 'Cause when we started reminiscing, it went down like a shot. Yeah, when we haven't caught up in years, my beer disappears. My beer disappears. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. This has been an episode of the Songwriter Showcase here at the Den in beautiful Sioux Falls. My guest tonight was Brad Morgan. Give a big hand to Brad Morgan here. I thank you all so much for being here. We will see you next Thursday at the same bat time, same bat channel. Good night.